Hey there. Welcome to CyberPulse by Quantum Shield, the podcast where we make cybersecurity less intimidating and a lot more exciting. Every episode, we're diving into the latest digital drama, from sneaky hackers to the coolest defense strategies, all while sharing tips you can actually use. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's navigate this crazy digital world together.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready to geek out a bit. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that sounds kind of boring, but is actually super important. Software vulnerabilities.
Yeah, vulnerabilities doesn't exactly scream exciting, but trust me, this stuff is the foundation of cybersecurity.
Exactly. Think of it this way. We all lock our doors at night, right? Software vulnerabilities, they're kind of like leaving your digital doors and windows wide open.
And we're not just talking about some harmless pranksters here. We're talking about serious threats that can steal your data, your money, even your identity.
No kidding. So to kick things off, let's talk about one of the classics, injection attacks, specifically SQL injection. You familiar with that one?
Oh, absolutely. It's been around for ages, but it's still a major threat. Basically, imagine a hacker slips a fake ID to a bouncer who isn't paying attention.
And they just waltz right in, wreaking havoc.
Exactly. With SQL injection, hackers slip malicious code into a website or application. If the system isn't properly protected, that code gets executed, giving the hacker direct access to the database.
And we're talking about sensitive data here, right? Names, addresses, passwords, credit card numbers.
All of that and more. They can steal data, delete it, even modify it. And it's not just about individual users. Remember that massive data breach a few years back when mentioned a specific recent example of a major company getting hacked due to a SQL injection vulnerability, got hit?
Oh, yeah, that was huge. Millions of dollars in damages.
Exactly. It's a stark reminder that these vulnerabilities are not theoretical. They have real-world consequences.
So what can we do to protect ourselves from these injection attacks?
Well, for starters, we need to make sure we're using strong, unique passwords for all our accounts.
You've heard it here, folks. Strong passwords. That's like cybersecurity 101.
Seriously. And it's not just about personal responsibility. Website and app developers need to step up their game, too. They need to properly validate user input, use parameterized queries, and implement other security measures to prevent these attacks.
Right, because it's not like everyday users are writing the code for these websites.
Exactly. There's a shared responsibility here.
Okay, so moving on, let's talk about cross-site scripting, or XSS. This one always trips me up a bit.
I hear you. It's a mouthful. Basically, XSS is like the digital equivalent of graffiti, except instead of spray paint, we're talking about malicious code injected into a website.
And this code can then harm unsuspecting users who visit the site.
You got it. There are two main types of XSS, reflected and stored. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you're having a conversation with someone, and they repeat back a nasty rumor they heard about you.
Okay, so that's like reflected XSF.
Exactly. The malicious code is bounced back to the user's browser, often through something like a malicious link. Stored XSS is more like planting a hidden message on a bulletin board that everyone who visits the site will see.
So it's more permanent and potentially affects more people.
You got it. The malicious code is permanently stored on the server, lurking there until an unsuspecting user triggers it.
Yikes. So how can we avoid falling victim to these XSS attacks?
Be cautious about the links you click and the information you enter on websites, especially those that seem a bit shady.
Good advice. What about our developer friends? What can they do on their end?
Oh, they have a whole arsenal of tools at their disposal. Input validation, output encoding, using a content security policy or CSP. They can even implement a web application firewall, or WF, for an extra layer of protection.
All right, so we've talked about injection attacks and XSS. Up next, cross-site request forgery. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, CSRF. It sounds intimidating, but it's actually pretty simple to understand. Imagine you're logged into your bank account.
Which I am, all the time, practically.
Sure, and you click on a link that seems harmless, maybe a funny cat video or something.
Who doesn't love those?
Right. But hidden within that link is a malicious request. Because you're still logged into your bank, the bank's website trusts this request and executes it.
And just like that, I've been hacked.
Potentially, yes. They could transfer money, change your email address, or even make purchases in your name. And you might not even realize it until it's too late.
That's scary. So how can we protect ourselves from CSRF attacks?
Well, logging out of sensitive websites when you're done using them is a good start. Also, be wary of suspicious links or emails, even if they seem to come from a trusted source.
So double-check those URLs before you click.
Got it. Exactly. And on the development side, there are a few things they can do. Implementing anti-CSRF tokens, enabling HTTP strict transport security, or HSTS, using the same site cookie attribute.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Be careful, and developers need to up their security game.
Pretty much.
So before we wrap up, any other vulnerabilities we should have on our radar?
Oh, absolutely. We have things like insecure direct object references, or IDOR. Basically, imagine someone finding a master key to your house. That's IDOR. It's when an application exposes a direct reference to an internal object, like a file or a database record, without proper authorization checks.
Oh, so like I said, a master key, not good.
Nope. Then there's insecure deserialization, which is a bit more technical, but essentially it's like opening a suspicious package that can then wreak havoc on your system.
So trust no one, not even a package. Got it. What else?
Insecure cryptography, which is when your supposedly secure communications aren't actually so secure, like sending a postcard with your credit card info on it.
Not a good idea. And more.
Insecure file handling, where hackers can sneak malicious files onto your system. Think a virus disguised as a fun image. And lastly, insufficient input validation, which can lead to all sorts of problems, including crashes and data leaks.
Wow, that's a lot. So much for the internet being built on cat videos.
Well, there are definitely cat videos out there. Just remember that the internet, like any complex system, is full of potential vulnerabilities.
Right, so it's our job to stay informed and be proactive about protecting ourselves.
Exactly. The more we know about these vulnerabilities, the better equipped we are to defend against them.
All right, everyone. That was a crash course in common software vulnerabilities. Definitely not as boring as I thought it would be.
I told you. Cybersecurity is anything but boring.
So as you go about your digital lives, think about the data you're sharing, the websites you're visiting, the links you're clicking. Could there be vulnerabilities lurking beneath the surface?
It's a question worth asking. Because in the digital world, knowledge really is power.
Until next time, stay safe out there.
Thanks for hanging out with us on CyberPulse. Remember, cybersecurity doesn't have to be scary. It's all about staying sharp and a little bit savvy. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't let those cyber gremlins get you down. Catch you next time, and until then, stay safe, stay smart, and keep crushing it online.